The Subata is the most basic, most vanilla weapon in the game, but it's anything but boring or weak. This build is my favorite beginner build to recommend to players new to Driller or new to Deep Rock Galactic. What makes this build great is that you can take it in any mission, no matter how long or how complex it is, and have plenty of ammo. Even for those of us that aren't the best shot and miss more shots than we want to admit, this build will be easy to use, so you'll miss less shots than you typically do, and it'll be a nice savior when you need a sidearm, like when you run out of ammo in your primary weapon or you need to reload. Don't worry if you don't have any overclocks for the Subata yet, you won't need anything else for this build to save your life. Hi guys, I'm Legionless and this channel is about helping you enjoy your games more. If you want to enjoy your games more, subscribe to the channel and join the Discord from the description below, where we're talking about the new update to the game and the weapons and builds we love to run. The Subata isn't a precision weapon that you'll want to pace every shot to make sure they each land on weak points, so that's a nice goal to have. It really shines as a bit of a spammy weapon, one where you hit a decent amount of weak point shots, but a weapon that cares more that you hit the target in general, rather than specifically where you hit the target. With that being said, this build is going to make sure you don't miss your target, that every bullet that hits does a good amount of damage, and that you have enough ammo in case you do miss or if you need more. The Subata is a great weapon to pair with either primary weapon in the Driller's kit. You can tweak the Subata to better work with the flamethrower or the Cryo Cannon that you're using. This is a well-rounded, easy to use build to start off with and to use for crowd control, but the next build will have a more focused approach on single target damage to make sure you optimize every bullet from the Subata. In Tier 1, Quickfire Ejector reduces the reload time for the Subata, which is a noticeable weakness for it. I like this for this build because the base magazine size is pretty good at 12 rounds, but the rate of fire is fairly quick, so you're able to go through an entire magazine pretty quickly. Having that faster reload really comes in handy against swarms of enemies, especially when you freeze your targets with the Cryo Cannon and then need to clean up the kills with the Subata before they unfreeze. Improved alignment gives pinpoint accuracy on the first shot, so it goes without saying that it's only of any use when you first start firing. The way it would work is the initial bullet would fire exactly where you aim, and then every bullet that immediately follows it will land somewhere in your reticle circle. If you stop firing for a few seconds, when you begin shooting again, that initial bullet will fire true, even if you haven't reloaded. The last option in Tier 1 is high capacity magazine, which adds 5 to the magazine size. For those that have watched more than a couple of my videos, you'll know that I absolutely love these mods that increase the mag size, but for this build, I'm going to have to go with the better reload speed instead. In Tier 2, we're going to go with expanded ammo bags for an increase of 40 max ammo to the Subata. This wasn't too tough of a choice to make since increased caliber rounds only adds 1 damage per shot, which is just going from 12 damage per shot to 13. For any noticeable change in time to kill and the number of bullets to kill enemies, we would need to go entirely all in on damage mods for the Subata. While this build will have a damage buff mod, the focus and the scope of this build isn't about maximizing damage. More importantly, increase in ammo reserves is a more important goal for this build when considering who this build is for. For these reasons, this is why we're going to go with expanded ammo bags again in Tier 3. Improved propellant adds another +1 in direct damage, and recoil compensator improves the spread per shot and recoil direction. Truthfully, recoil compensator was a close pick, and I certainly wouldn't fault anyone for making the choice to go with that over more ammo, but I found this mod only helps in longer ranges where you typically won't be using the Subata. And even in those longer ranges, I would typically not be firing the Subata at a faster rate of fire, which would be when you really see recoil compensator take effect. Instead, I'd pace the shots a little bit to make sure that they hit. In Tier 4, there's only 2 choices. Do you take the raw damage buff, or do you take the damage buff when only hitting weak point shots? With the build we have so far, hollow point bullets isn't going to make much of a difference. Grunts and slashers will still die to the same number of weak point shots, and guards will only take 1 less weak point shot. With high velocity rounds, we'll naturally get a slight bump in body shot and weak point damage, which comes out to a couple less bullets needed for body shot kills, meaning if you hit a grunt in the body as opposed to its weak point, it'll save you a little bit of ammo versus running hollow point bullets. For many players, especially at the beginner to average player level, this is a more noticeable difference in more circumstances. The pick for Tier 5 really comes down to what primary weapon you're running. If you're running the flamethrower, you should go with Volatile Bullets, which is a 50% damage increase to enemies that are burning. If you're running the Cryo Cannon or a mission with Mactera Plague warning active, you should run Mactera Toxin Coating instead. This gives every bullet 120% damage buff against Mactera enemies. For context to what this Mactera buff means, is that grabbers and goo bombers die in a few less weak point shots. Ultimately, I think this is the best Subata build for beginners to Driller or Deep Rock Galactic. The weapon is nothing fancy, but it's reliable and gets the job done. It's not a hard-hitting, massive damage dealer like the Gunner's Bulldog heavy revolver, but the Subata works really well in the Driller's kit regardless of the primary weapon you're using. It gets a nice damage increase with Volatile Bullets when enemies are on fire because of the flamethrower, and it gets the typical 300% damage increase all frozen enemies provide because of the Cryo Cannon. If you want to enjoy your games more, subscribe to the channel and like this video to help me out. Join the Discord from the link in the description below, where we're talking about Update 32 that comes out on October 22nd and about the weapons and builds we love to use. Thanks for watching.